welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. It is fall and we are getting cozy in this vlog today. One of the things that I love about fantasy is that there's so many different subgenres within it, and one of my favorites is cozy fantasy. It just feels like a warm hug. It just feels like the perfect thing to read this time of year. So we're getting into it. We are going to be reading 3 cozy fantasy books in this vlog, and I could not be more excited about it. So let's talk about the books that I'm going to be reading in this vlog. The first one is Sourdough by Sloan. This is truly a book about a woman and her sourdough starter. And I do not need to know any more than that. I am a bread lover, and that's really all I need to be drawn to a book like this. But from what I've heard, it is very cozy, it is very wholesome, and what screams cozy more than bread? Nothing. That's what. So we are going to be reading Sourdough, and then the next book that we are going to be reading is Piranesi. Now, I don't know if this is necessarily considered cozy fantasy, but from what I've heard, the main character is just very sweet, and it is about a house and all of its weird twists and turns and that kind of thing, which just sounds cozy to me. So I might totally be wrong in including this, but for the time being, I'm considering this a cozy fantasy, and this is one of my most anticipated reads. I have been wanting to read this for so long, and it's finally happening. It's finally happening. And then the last book that I want to include in this video is actually a fantasy novella, which is part of a series, and this is the first in the series, which is Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan Mcguire. And this is part of the Wayward Children series. This is about a school for children who have been to other worlds, like Wonderland, like Narnia, like Candyland, and have been bounced back for whatever reason and are now trying to navigate normal life. So that just sounds like a bit of fun to begin with, but then there's a mystery that happens and unravels throughout this book, which just, it puts the coziness to a whole nother level, and I'm so excited for this. So these are the 3 books that we are going to be reading together in this vlog, with all of the cozy vibes that I could possibly imagine, and I am very excited about it. If you are too, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and let's go ahead and go back in time, because I actually have some footage to start off this vlog with of me actually putting my bookshelves together and decorating them and doing all that, which I don't know about you, but watching people put together bookshelves and style them and just switch things around just screams cozy to me. It just makes me feel like I can switch off my brain, and I just love watching videos like that. So get yourself some coffee, a snack, whatever you would like, maybe some tea if that's your cozy vibe, and let's put together my bookshelf and decorate it and just bring in all the cozy vibes to start this vlog off with. Hello. I got myself a bookshelf, and I'm very excited about it. It's from Target. I have to put it together, which is what we're going to do today, or we're going to attempt to, at least. We're strong. We can do it. That is the plan. I got it from Target. It's not the most highest quality or anything like that, but it's going to do the trick, and it fits in the space that I need. So let's put together a bookshelf. Hello. Today is day 2 of putting together this bookshelf because I realized very quickly yesterday that a screwdriver was not going to do the trick, that we would have to bring out the big guns, and the drill was not charged. But now it is, and we are going to put this thing together. I really hope this doesn't take me literally all day. Let's do it. It is a new day, and it is the day that we put all of the books on the bookshelf, style it a little bit, make it cute. I'm very excited. It is actually a rainy and gray day, so like what better day to do this on? I don't really have any sort of like rhyme or reason to this. I'm thinking that I want to do like a moody kind of shelf, like dark academia vibes, maybe with like all my black spines, that kind of thing. But beyond that, I don't really have any sort of plan. I'm just gonna play around with it until I like what happens. I do have a little bit of decor to put on there too, just like some fake plants, little pumpkins, because we are getting to fall time and like I don't mind having them there all the time. And yeah, some other little bits. So let's just go ahead and get started.
merchant change, but your face remained the same. The swallows will be here by dawn. When we're finally sober, they'll be gone. The trees will bloom and ice will melt. We'll always remember how it felt.
Okay, so here is a little tour for you. So I have all the Harry Potters up there, and then that is like my OG very first Harry Potter. So I just put it up there, but with the spine facing out because I like the way it looked. I would love to get some sort of like Harry Potter-esque statue or something, maybe like a golden snitch or something related to Harry Potter to put up there, but for now, that plant will do. And then we come down to the kind of like darker shelf. So we have all of like the darker spines here. This gorgeous Moriarty book, which if you didn't know, huge Sherlock Holmes fan. And then the Hunger Games series, Tim Burton book back there with a little pumpkin. I just love the way this one looks. So cute. And then this shelf is like quite random. I have some hardbacks, some paperbacks. I just kind of did like a little rainbow-esque, but not really. This is the most random shelf. The most random book ever, but like, whatever, it's fine. We're making it work. And then down here, I have a lot of my book of the month. So I kept all the Riley Sagers together, and then a few other, and then the Finlay Donovan series. What is the series so far with little candle and pumpkin. Obviously, as I get more series and this grows, this is going to change. And then this last shelf is just the TBR. So those are books I haven't read yet. There's a few others worked in here, but for the most part, they're all right there. And then the books that I am reading this month. I figured I would keep them together until I do a wrap up, and then I will disperse them throughout the shelf. So that is what this is looking like right now, and I actually really love how it came out. Obviously, I'm gonna finagle with it, probably a bunch, but for now, I'm really happy. It is time for me to pick my first book for this vlog. I'm so excited. Okay, so I'm going to save Every Heart a Doorway for a little bit later in the week. I have plans for that one of like how I want to read it and how I want that experience to be. So I can't do that today, so I'm going to save that one for a little bit later. So that leaves me with Piranesi and Sourdough, both of which I'm super excited for. It's just, where do I want to start? They both are very short, like 250 pages, roughly. Where do I want to start? Do I want to start with bread or a house? That's really the question. Okay, I think I'm gonna start with Sourdough because I have a feeling that this is going to be like my favorite of the vlog, and I don't want to like start high and then go down, so I'd rather start in the middle. I could be totally wrong. I could end up not enjoying it, what have you, but I just have this gut feeling that that is going to be like a new favorite. That's putting a lot of pressure on that book, I understand, but like that's just where my mind is right now. So I feel like I should probably start. This cover is so bright, you can't even see it. Start with that. All you can just see is a little toe. I feel like I should start here. That way I don't go down. Like, it's only up from here. I mean, I do think I'm going to love this one. We'll see. But anywho, okay, we're gonna start this. I'm working today. Today is a filming day for my job, so I won't be able to start this till a little bit later. I'm going to read a bit on my lunch break, and obviously when I get done with work, my goal would be to read this like within 2 days. So today and tomorrow. I should have no problem doing that because, like I said, they're really short, but yeah. Okay, we're gonna start with Sourdough. has been the craziest day. Oh my goodness, it is the next day and it has been mayhem. Work has been crazy. We have a live event that we are doing next week and it is taking all of my brain cells. However, I did start sourdough last night. Honestly, this is like saving me right now. Escaping into a world of bread. Like nothing could make me happier, and I am so happy to like unplug at the end of the day and put my attention on bread. And am I about to gush to you about a book that's all about bread? Yes, I am, because I love this. And I don't know if it's because I am needing that escape right now, so it's just like hitting the spot. It's cozy, and if you are any sort of carb lover, you will love this. And I'm not like saying that as like a joke. Truly, if you like have a passion for bread, you know how some people have like a passion for pasta, or just like cooking or baking in general. If that's you, this will be right up your alley. This book is so cozy. I love it. In this book, we are following Lois, and Lois is a programmer. She builds robots. She is in a very high-stress job, and she just takes on a new job that is even more stressful, like straight out of college, and it is a time, and she is feeling it. And so she starts getting takeout from this restaurant that like slaps a takeout menu on her apartment, and she just like is filled with joy. And like, I don't know who else can relate to that, but like, absolutely. There's just like, you know, comforting food. And then the restaurant that she's getting takeout from literally every single night, they shut down, and they give her their sourdough starter, and there's like, hey, you are like our #1 customer, and we really need you to keep this alive. And so she starts baking bread, and it just goes from there. And there's also like a tiny bit of like fantasy element going on there, not completely, but there's just like a hint of it in the background that's just making it even more cozy. And man, just like, like I said, if you love bread, you are going to love this. And like, oh, that sounds ridiculous. Like, why would you want to read a book about bread? But it, like, if you have read Eat, Pray, Love, and you know the like joy that she finds in food in that book, and it just makes you appreciate food that much more, like that's the vibes of this. If you love bread and you just... how many times can I say that? That's the vibes of this. I'm about 117 pages into it, so I'm like a little less than halfway, but I still plan on finishing tonight. I also have the audiobook checked out for my library for this, so I've also been like simultaneously listening to it, and the audiobook is really good as well. And it actually has like music in the background for the certain parts where there's talk about music. So that's fun. We love an audiobook with sound effects. So yeah, my plan is to like turn off my brain from work, hopefully long enough to finish this evening. I don't see why I shouldn't be able to do that. And like, I just cannot wait to see what happens. Like,
Injustice dead, and in the eyes of time, nobody's losing. The sparrows will be here by dawn. When we finally sober, they'll be gone. The trees will bloom and ice will melt. We'll always remember how it felt.
it is a rainy, dreary, stormy day outside, which is just feeding the cozy vibes that I am after in this vlog. So I'm really excited about it. And I have a sweater on. Like, are you kidding? we're thriving right now. This morning, I finished Sourdough, and, well, okay, let me explain. This book is definitely not going to be for everyone. This book definitely has a certain type of audience, and as I was saying yesterday, that audience is either someone who highly appreciates food or someone who highly appreciates bread. I just loved this. I'm gonna give this 4.5 stars. I loved it. I love stories like this that center around food, but are also like a feel-good story at the same time. And I've just found this incredibly relatable in the fact that our main character Lois has this like high stress kind of job, and then she finds like an outlet in something that she really wasn't expecting, but it just gives her passion and makes her feel like she has a purpose elsewhere, and I just love that. I find that so relatable. I kind of find that feeling in the same way that I do with books. Like, I have a full-time job. I love it. It's not high stress by any means, but I do have a full-time job, but like the way that I feel when I escape to a book, it's a similar feeling. And I also love that the sourdough starter in this was like a character, which is just so different and so fun, and really kind of added this like fantasy element to it. It's not high fantasy by any means, like minuscule fantasy. To me, it's more of like a feel-good story with just like a hint of fantasy to it. But I just love that. The sourdough starter was honestly like the main character of this book, which was just so fun, and I really enjoyed it. It was cozy. It was exactly what I was looking for, so I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars. I'm not gonna get to read until a little bit later, but I will be starting Piranesi, which I am so excited about. I'm stoked. I cannot wait. I wish I could start it right now, but I do have to get to work. I have a meeting. I have lots of things to do. So we're gonna do that, and then tomorrow is like a day of fun, a very busy day. I really don't know how much reading I'm going to get done. I have a dentist appointment. I'm meeting one of my friends for dinner. We might go apple picking tomorrow, just like a full day, but I will be able to read a ton this weekend, so I'm excited. I just like feel so good after reading a story like this. Like, I'm just happy. It just made me so happy and feel so cozy, and that was like the goal and the aim, and I just like, I'm just so happy. I just got to part 2 in Piranesi, and this book, I can tell, is going to take a lot of brain power. The writing is just so different, and I think that goes along with, obviously, the character, but like, there's a lot of words that are capitalized mid-sentence, which I'm sure is going to mean something later, but it's just like a trick of the mind when you're trying to read it, and then all of a sudden, like, there's just random words that are capitalized, and they're not names or anything like that. So I'm like trying to take note at the same time of like what words are capitalized in case it does come into play later, but there's so many of them. So I think this is going to take a lot of brain power. I just hope it's not like confusing. So far, I mean, I'm kind of following along. The writing, like the way the character speaks, is definitely a little bit different and is going to take a second to get used to. The first part was only like 17 pages long, and that just took me like a half an hour to read. So a lot slower than what I normally read at, which is fine. I don't want to like rush a book, especially one that I have like a feeling I'm going to love, but it's just a little... It's not confusing, it's just different. It's just different so far. So anyways, I'm going to read for a bit longer here. Like I said, I'm on part 2, which is called The Other, and this is like another person in the house/world. And they're using that name, those names like oh my god, why can't I say that word? Interchangeably. Okay. But essentially they're the same thing. Like when he says the world and the house, it's the same thing. So I like had to wrap my brain around that at first too. So this is going to be a ride, you guys. It's going to be a ride. But I'm excited for it. Hello, it is a few days later. I meant to vlog yesterday while I was reading Piranesi, but my allergies were out of control. Like I woke up, my eyes were like crusted shut, disgusting, and so swollen, and I just like was not in it yesterday. So I didn't vlog. However, I did read the entirety of Piranesi, and wow, this book was a trip and a half. Like so much so that I even tabbed. That's when you know that like some serious shit is going down. And I was like taking this book seriously. Like I don't ever tab. Ever. Unless it's like something that is groundbreaking or confusing or something that I just know that like I'm going to have to reference back to. And that's what this book felt like. It felt like it wasn't confusing, but the way this book is written, like I already said, like there's random words that are capitalized, and I just kept thinking like this is gonna mean something. This is gonna come back to this. And the way that he would use different words for things, like he called rooms halls, and so it just was like when he said that I was like, oh okay, so like that's some of the stuff that was tabbed. Also just like some of my favorite lines or whatever. But wow, this book was a ride for sure. And the people that have said like when this like clicks in for you of like what is actually going on, it is mind-blowing, is so accurate. This book makes you think one thing or just brings you on this roller coaster like for a good chunk of this. And this is a short book, but for a while you're like, what is going on here? Like the dialect is different, this character's just explaining things, and like I'm trying to keep track of the timeline and what's happening when, and then as things start unfolding, it is like the biggest mindfuck ever because you just are not expecting it to go that way. And especially being a fantasy, you know, with fantasy, like the world is your oyster. It could go any which direction, but the way this goes was so unexpected, but so good, and the ending was just perfect. And Piranesi is such an incredible character. I freaking love his character. He is so innocent and I don't know, like sweet and innocent, and just you were rooting for him the whole time. I just loved it. I loved it. I'm gonna give it 5 stars. My original was like, do I just give it 4.5 because I did find some of it a little bit hard to follow at first. But as the story unfolds, like you just cannot, like I can't knock off a star for that. And she actually explains at the end a little bit about her choices in the way that it's written, which I appreciate, because otherwise it just would have been like, why did you make that choice? Why did that happen? But there's actually like a little thing on here about like a note on the type, which I really love, because otherwise I would have been really confused of like why it was written that way. But oh my god, please, 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 please pick this up. is a little confusing at first, but stick with it, tab it if you need to, take notes, because I promise you, as the stories start to unfold, you will not regret reading this, like, for 1 second whatsoever. So it is now Sunday, and I have already done the things that I wanted to do today, cleaned up a little bit, the laundry's going. So my plan is to dive into Every Heart a Doorway and hopefully read this in entirety today. It's only 170 pages, so I really should have no problem doing it. And the way I plan on reading this is with Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin. And you might be like, what? Hear me out. He just uploaded a 2-hour video of, it's like a productive reading video. So it's essentially like reading sprints, but it's cozy, it's laid back, he gives breaks or whatever. And I was like, that is the perfect thing for this cozy vlog, is to like put Gavin on, because I love him. He always makes me smile, but also his videos are very cozy. Just love it. British vibes, like here for it all the time. So I'm gonna put that on. We're gonna have ourselves a cozy Sunday reading along with Gavin. And that is exactly how I want to experience this book. And if you don't know what this book is about, this is a book about children who have been to other worlds, such as Narnia, Wonderland, places like that. They call it tumbling. It says that, like, you know, children have gone missing and they have tumbled into these other worlds, and then the other worlds kind of bounce them back, and they don't really know how to like acclimate to normal life again after seeing these things. So then they go to this school or this house and try to cope there and, you know, deal with what they saw and that kind of thing. And this book is following our main character, Nancy, who has tumbled once and is now back and is at this school, and then something takes place at that school and Nancy tries to figure out what it is and solve it and try to save the students and the school itself. So it just sounds so cozy and exactly the vibes that we need right now. So I'm going to quickly have some lunch, and then we are going to put on Gavin and we are going to get some reading done. Day, and I finished Every Heart a Doorway yesterday. I read it in its entirety. I mean, not that hard. It's only like 160 something pages, but oh my god, this book is the coziest little hug you could just ever imagine. I love this. I want more books like this in my life. I am for sure going to read the entire series because this was just so fun. This book is 5 stars, like hands down, no doubt. I just loved it. It was so fun. It was so fast paced. The characters were really fleshed out for only being 160 pages long. Like, you really got a sense of each of the characters and the way the school works and how everyone just kind of operates, and the head of the school, Eleanor, and just you get this whole mystery that's unraveling throughout the entire story. And it's all jam-packed into 160 pages, but done so well, and the writing is beautiful. Like, the descriptions in this are just impeccable. The writing is just chef's kiss, like, no complaints. And most importantly, the representation inside this book is spot on. Like, so good. It's so well done. We have an asexual character, we have a trans character, and just the way that they're talked about, the way that they share about their sexuality and their gender and whatever they're going through is just incredible and so well done. Like, hats off to Seanan Mcguire for doing it so incredibly well. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen better representation in a book before. Like, this was perfection. So I'm definitely going to pick up the rest of the series. I love it because some of them are like part of the series, but some of them can also be standalone. So like, the next book in the series follows 2 characters in this book, but before this book happened, and then the one after that is like, could totally be read as a standalone, which I just love because it allows like something for everyone. I am a little bit nervous about the next one because the 2 characters that it follows were like my least favorite characters in this. But I say least with like a grain of salt because I still really did enjoy them as characters, but I'll be interested to see if I like them even more afterwards. So anyways, I loved it and I'm so happy I finally got to this, and I'm just like, I'm not going to stop thinking about this book for a long, long time. And that wraps up our cozy fantasy vlog. I hope this video gave you all of the feels. I hope it was cozy. I hope you relaxed. I hope it allowed you to turn your mind off for a little while. And I have so many cozy fantasies that I want to read, so a part 2 is totally possible. So if that's something that you want to see, give this video a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe while you're here. Turn on the bell so you never miss a video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!
With you and I, the future is bright.